Hi, and welcome to the channel. I'm Lindsay from Sweet and Sour Firsties. If you're new here, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for tons of weekly back-to-school tips and tricks to make it your best school year ever. This week is all about 5 easy and effective center management strategies. After watching, you are going to have so many easy tools and strategies to make center management a breeze, because that's what we're all about, is creating simple, sustainable solutions that work and continue to work all year long, so that yes, your centers will run themselves this year. Before I dive into those 5 easy strategies, let's quickly talk about the pillars that make centers run. What's important when you're setting up centers? Here are things that I want you to think about: setup, organization, management, accountability, and activities. Today we're going to focus on just the management piece, but I want you to understand that all of those parts are how that your centers will run themselves. Those are all as equally important as each other. We will have a whole series around centers, and again, today our focus is center management. Our first tip today is all about creating those simple, sustainable solutions. I've talked a lot about creating those systems for you. This is also really important for students, especially during center time, if we want them to be able to navigate centers independently, which is the ultimate goal, so that we can pull individual students in groups during that time without interruptions. That's a big piece, right? So how do we create those systems for students, and what does that look like? Here's some things I want you to think about and plan through when you're getting ready to set up those systems. Where will everything go? And when I say everything, I mean everything. What types of centers will you have specifically? Where will those locations of centers go? Where will all of their work go, completed and incompleted? How will they access the materials they need and supplies they need? Literally think through everything they need access to during center time and how you can teach that to them so that they ultimately can navigate it independently. This even goes into those slides that I've talked about before. How do you have slides that make students independent? One of the reasons I love slides, and you're going to hear me talk about them a lot, is because you can use a lot of visuals, which you will also hear me mention. And the slides really support those students who can't read yet and give them those solid expectations of what they need to do during center time. One thing that teachers always talk to me about with centers specifically is transitioning from center to center and cleanup time. Those are 2 really big time sucks and can really derail center time. So how can we take away some of those barriers for students and make it easy? Now, there are tons of different center management styles. There are great effective ones that work. There's free flowing, there's must do, may do, there's timed rotations. I will tell you, when you take away the time barrier for students, when you let them navigate and free flow through their center expectations, it's typically less hectic than if they're trying to hurry and complete something. So here's a big tip. Think through what you want students to complete. What is their must do? And I will tell you, I am a huge fan of must do, may do, because it tells students, hey, these things are really important. You need to get these done. These things are fun for you. You can do those when the other ones are completed. So think about what's important during center time. And I'm going to go to literacy centers for a second. Some sort of phonics activity or phonemic awareness. Some sort of comprehension-based activity linked to the skill that you guys have taught that day, and some sort of independent reading time, or it can be buddy reading too. Those things are really critical. Those are what are going to help students grow. Hey, you need to do all these things. Then you get to play. And again, don't put time limits on it, because some kids are going to take 20 minutes completing their comprehension sheet. Some students are going to take 1. As long as they get all those must-dos done, that's fine. You're taking away the chaos of transitions because they're doing it at their own pace. They're not all doing it at once. Same thing with cleaning up. When you're done with the center, clean that center up, go to the next one. They're doing that at their own pace. Those are really easy ways to eliminate some of those hectic periods during center time. After you have set up your simple systems that students will learn and understand, now it's time to talk about those expectations during centers. Here is another crucial piece for your management for the entire year. This is a big deal. This is huge. This should take you weeks to focus on and get done. The younger the students are, the more time they're going to need and the less independent they're going to be. But I promise, even kindergartners can get there. They can all do it independently, but you have to go slow. After you have decided what centers students will do, what management style you will have, what systems you're going to have in place, it's time to teach them. What I like to do during center time is we introduce a center a day, and we all practice that center. Kind of like you see me build my anchor charts, what it looks like and sounds like during each center. What does buddy reading look like and sound like? We build the expectations together. We have our anchor chart. We all practice. We get feedback. We give feedback to each other. We see how well we're doing. We keep that same pattern going during the whole first couple weeks of school so that when it is time to start pulling groups, they already know what to do. This is why this is crucial for you to go slow and to provide those visuals. Show them, hey, this is what I expect you to look like when you're completing your comprehension sheet. Hey, this is what I want you to look like when you're completing your buddy activity for the day. If you spend those first few weeks really going slow, practicing all of those things that students need to go, where their work goes, where they turn in their work, all those types of things, then when you get to week, I would say 3 or 4, again, depending on the age, you might want to do 3 full weeks of practicing. And then that 4th week, you can start pulling groups. And here's another hint. When you're pulling groups for the first time and students are left to their own devices, have your group doing something easy so that you can leave and navigate and help students as you want. And prepare them, let them know, hey, we're practicing this now so that you can do it on your own soon. And know that, hey, guess what? Once I'm back here at a group, I'm unavailable. Take a look at some of these anchor charts that we build together. So as you can see, we practice what it looks like and sounds like during centers. We all do it. We do it for every center that we have, for every expectation that we have. That is how you get those centers to run like magic. It really is beautiful. Now you've set up your systems that you're going to have. You have practiced those expectations and modeled explicitly for students. Here's another important tip. You need to make yourself off limits. You are not available at all during centers. I want you to look at this. This is what I use to tell students I'm unavailable. It's a really great visual reminder for them so they know when I'm with a group, you cannot come to me. Period. End of story. It doesn't matter what is going on. And again, that sounds a little bit scary, but we talk about ask clear before me. How do you solve your problems independently? Can this wait until after center time? You don't want your group time interrupted, so let's not interrupt anyone else's time either. This visual has been my go-to during center time. I love it, and actually so do students. Please do not disturb when lit, and so students know if it's lit up, they cannot come to me for any reason. And the reason why it's such a great visual for students is that when they come over, and they do, they see, uh-oh, it's lit. So it's a great instant reminder, she is off limits, you cannot go to her. Now, if I turn it off, then students know, okay, we can go talk to her during that time. And if I do turn it off, then students know, okay, we can go talk to her during that time. And it's great when you set this system up for students because then anytime you need to be off limits, let's say you're testing students, progress monitoring, whatever it is, you can turn the sign on and they know, oh, don't go over there, don't interrupt that time. And you can actually grab this freebie in my store too. I'll link that below in the description for you. Before we keep going, let's recap of what we've discussed so far. The first tip is to set up those systems that you want in place for students to navigate through during center time. The second tip is to go slow those first few weeks and really take your time honing in what you want students to do, modeling and practicing for students. And then tip 3 is to make yourself off limits no matter what. All right, now let's move on to tip number 4, accountability. This is another area I always hear from teachers is, great, we got everything set up and now they're not getting their work done, which unfortunately happens, but like anything, there needs to be a consequence for that. So we're gonna talk about center accountability, and I could do a whole video on center accountability, I'll be real honest. We're going to quickly discuss it, and then later on I will make sure that we have a whole video specifically targeting center accountability. But remember, this video is quick and easy tips to help you get started and get everything flowing. So, what does that mean for center accountability then? Let's talk about some quick, easy systems that we can implement so that students are accountable during centers. I'm gonna go back to that must do and may do board first. That makes it really clearly laid out what you need to accomplish. And if I see you doing fun stuff, then I'm gonna ask you, well, did you get the important stuff done? And sometimes the answer is yes, and that's fine. But as we know, sometimes the answer is no. But having those must-dos laid out really explicitly for students shows them, I need to get this done today, period. One way to do this and help students be successful is just like building those anchor charts with students and going over those explicit expectations, you need to do the same thing for work expectations too. Let's talk about a simple comprehension strategy that we do at the beginning of the year. We will typically discuss characters and setting in a story. And so they will have a simple sheet they need to complete. You can make it digital, you can make it paper. I suggest paper at the beginning of the year to get them started. And then again, just like with every other center, that center is really important. So we need to talk about what good quality work looks like. And the way we do that is by modeling first what good quality work looks like, making sure we use 5 colors when we color our picture, making sure that we include whatever the pieces are, the characters and the setting, making sure that we have a complete sentence, what that looks like. Again, really explicitly showing them, this is how you complete your work. This is what it looks like. Then after everyone has gone back and done this too, then we're gonna give feedback to each other. And we do a level of understanding system that looks like this. This is also where students turn in their work at, which makes it really easy for them to navigate and understand, hey, is my work quality work? Is it done? Do I understand it? And we all practice that a lot during those first few weeks. We talk about different qualities of work. We talk about what a 1, 2, 3, and 4 look like and really go deep into that as well, to get students to really understand this is good quality work, and hey, it's okay if I don't know it yet, we'll get there. And even that feedback of how do I get to a 3 or how do I get to a 4. So that's one piece of accountability during center time that really helps make sure that work gets done right and is good quality. The second piece of that, as we know, students are gonna have unfinished work. It happens, period. We know that. So how do we navigate that when they do have unfinished work? We have an unfinished work system. This system makes it really easy for students to store their work and to keep it all in the same place so that when it is time to complete the work, we have everything all organized. As you can see here too, we have labels for students. This is work still in progress, and this is work that's ready to turn in. They can go ahead and turn that in. As you can see, part of the unfinished work system is a work completion checklist. Think about those students who really need more. It's nice because these are editable, so you can add pictures for students if they need the visual supports, or you can write very specifically what they need to do to make sure their work is completed. Think about those kids who rush their work. Think about those kids who struggle with executive functioning. How can we support them more to make sure that they're getting their work done? Now, as far as when this work gets completed, on Fridays, we have Choice Fridays. They get to choose any of their may-dos. We may or may not have one must-do, but really it's a time to celebrate those students who got all their work done at the end of the week and give those students time who didn't finish their work. Instead of getting their choice time like everyone else, they have to complete work. So it's been a really big motivator to get them to get that work done during the week. And the last easy management tip I'm gonna leave you with today is specifically around your activities. So we've already talked about literacy. Here's one thing that I want you to think about when you're planning for those activities. So as you've heard me say, some typical centers that I like to have during literacy time are some sort of independent or buddy reading time, some sort of comprehension activity linked to the skill that we've discussed for the day, and then some type of phonics activity, typically connected to what they're working on during small group time at our table. So that means it's going to be differentiated for everybody and their specific needs. And here's one thing I learned when planning for those activities. We know I want to be able to teach groups uninterrupted. I also don't want to spend hours every week planning and prepping activities because honestly, nobody has time for that. And so how do we make it engaging for students so that they complete the activities, they're practicing skills that they need, and they're engaged the whole time? And here's my magic secret for that. Change the skill, not the activity. So I created no prep, hands-on activities that students can complete independently or with a buddy or with a group. And again, just like I can do a whole video on each single part of this, I promise I'm gonna do a whole video on everything center activities too, because it's a lot. To get you started and make it easy for today, just say that to yourself. Change the skill, not the activity. So what does that mean? We have roll and read. So no matter what phonics skill students are working on, I can easily print the roll and read they need, and they can complete that again individually or with a partner. Same thing with I Spy. They have all K2 phonics skills covered. so that differentiation is easy and I'm not spending hours every week prepping these activities, but they're still engaging for students. The best part of this is when one group is finished with a set of skills or one student, then it can go right to the next group that needs it, that's focusing on the next set of phonics skills. So the prep is super simple. It takes no time at all. Students love the activities. They're not interrupting me because they know how to do it. And so once we teach them, here's how we play roll and read, they know how to play it all year long. Here's how you do I Spy, they know how to do it all year long. That's the best part, when you change the skill, not the activity for students. And if you're impatient waiting for me to get to the rest of the videos, I want to show you this free guide. If you have not grabbed this free guide yet, this is a must. This goes into all those pillars that we talked about at the beginning of this video. And there's even a management quiz included for you to determine your center management style. Again, this guide is free and it is jam-packed with all of these great things we discussed today and even more. And you can grab this in the description below too. And you know I've got you covered for all things centers, all those activities we talked about, the unfinished work system, the levels of understanding, the visuals, the anchor charts. I've got everything. This must-have bundle is it for center management. I've got you covered for all things centers management so that your centers will run themselves this year. And this video is just the first in our whole series of centers. I'm gonna go into all things centers because I know centers are a big deal. I also know how impactful they are for students and teachers to be able to differentiate for students. And if you have specific center questions that you want more support with, please let me know in the comments. That's what I'm here for. I know centers are a big deal. I know they're a lot to get set up, but I promise by implementing these easy tips, you will see an immediate transformation in how centers are run in your classroom. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really hope you enjoyed all these tips. Trust me, I got plenty more coming for you. And if you haven't, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe for even more tips and tricks for centers, and of course, all things management. You know I got you covered. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.